Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Welcome, Dr. Feli, to our spotlight today.
My pleasure.
All right, so let's start off like this. When President Kennedy once said to his people, let's go to the moon, there was an urgent issue of science, research, and technology in that country.
Well, we have a lot of talents in Nigeria, especially in the sciences. And but because of the way the country have been managed over time, the very best of us in science and mathematics, have been harvested by the West, because the country were battling with a lot of things, from military takeover to return to democracy to corruption to so many malfeasance, such that focus was not on the citizens. Focus was on other things. And so those who had capacity to venture into science and technology found their way to the West. They all traveled, okay, because the ground was not made fertile enough for them, okay? In those days when we were growing up, we had people who were coupling vehicles, inventing things and all that. Even in Nigeria then, we had the Peugeot, you have all the Japanese cars, there are coupling centers here. But because the government did not invest in the citizens, we have a lot of professors and all that who all left the country. They left the country because they had to go to where talent is recognized. The one thing about the human condition is that where talent is not recognized, talent will take a flight, okay? And that is why today, technologically speaking, you cannot find any invention that is indigenous of Nigeria. Even when there are, they have become that of the West. Philip Emeagwali, for example, who created one of the fastest computers, okay? You cannot say that his invention is indigenous to Nigeria. Can you say that? Because he left too. You understand? So we have so much talent here, but because we have not developed research, we have not developed, natural science, mechanical science, medical science. We have not. The doctors that you see all over the world that are Nigerians who are doing exploit, those are people who develop themselves. Even though we had a university that trained them, but after training them, there's no conducive space for them to. Even deities. There was a time in Nigeria where the white men came to buy juju deities. Our deities were proficient in scientific acculturation. Those deities had capacity. I remember sometime in my village, they came and they bought over one of the deities. And when the white man took it to his own land, the deity was clapping every night. We hear a hand clap every night. So he came back and asked the people that, what does this deity eat? What do we feed this deity with? They said the only thing we feed it with is entertainment, music, and dance. And the white man did not have the skill to display the dance step of the village. So they returned it. In some places they succeeded. Took those deities, they were able to harvest the force in them and use them for some. But you see, again, if you trace all those inventions, they are not indigenous to Nigeria. It's one thing. Any place in the world where the government refuses to invest in the citizen, talent will take a flight to where it will be rewarded.
The president affirmed that without transformative research and development, no nation will develop to achieve its desire. With the president's body language, do you think he is serious?
Well, he made the statement to the body that without research and technology, you cannot have meaningful development. That is known all over the world. We all know about it. And that he made further promises that they are going to ensure that funds is made available for research and development. But you ask yourself, which research is he referring to? The kind of research that the world has moved to is what they call STEM. Science, technology, mathematics, and engineering, or engineering and mathematics. and they apply it from primary school. That is where the world is going to now. So, because technology is what is giving the world advancement, okay? And the arts of creative sciences, those ones they play a role, okay? But that STEM, you ask the president whether Nigeria have implemented STEM, or whether even the universal basic education, in the universal basic education, the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goal, that we are meant to implement, okay, by UNESCO and others, how far have we done? You see, because when you just come and say research, what they do now is we're attacking the issue from the top. Now they will appoint somebody and then fund that person. Before you know it, they begin to talk about how money have been looted and now corruption have kicked in. Well, the same research you are talking about, you already have primary schools, institutions, primary and secondary schools. So what you need to do is to inject that into the curriculum and make sure that it is implemented. That thing you call research, whatever it is, because when you say research is broad, in Nigeria we have soil, crop science research institute. We have medical research institute, even building research institute. We have a lot of research institutes in Nigeria. But attention is not paid to research. When they set up this institution, they start to talk about money. They don't really talk about the research itself. In agriculture, for example, the kind of maize that we eat today, the same kind of maize that we have been cultivating for the past 40 years. In some other countries, they have, GMO. They have improved the quality, such that if you have an acre of land and you plant the same maize, for example, in the US, and you have an acre of land here and you plant the maize here, the yield and the harvest that you will get elsewhere, where they have taken care of seedlings, they have taken care of soil, they have taken care of environment, they have taken care of pests, they are taking care of all the necessaries that will keep crops healthy. You cannot compare such an environment with an environment where you just clear the place, burn the bush, plant the maize. If you like, you weed it. If you like, don't weed it. When it grows and harvests, you can't have the same yield. In some places, in one hectare, you are having tons. In other places, you are having less than that. Because of pests, because of grass cutter, because of insecurity, Boko Haram, bandits, everything put together in one country. So you're not able to get that. So the research must be systemic, must be one that goes into the basic areas, the most critical areas of our life. One is on food. Okay, if that research is talking about, it's targeted on, let's say, food and maybe petrochemicals. Okay, this crude that we take outside. Why don't we develop a research here where we can manage all the byproducts ourselves and the main product itself? Why don't we have a research? Why don't we go to the modular refineries, the illegal, what you call illegal refineries in quotes, get these guys who have been able to get crude, steal the crude, refine it, and they have been, making a living out from it. Why don't we get them together? Okay, if we get them together and we, put them in a room, bring experts, who knows, possibly we may have solved the problem of this exporting our crude to refine. We may have solved the problem, but we don't know. Those guys we are calling criminals who are refining it illegally, they are the answer to the question of refining our crude here. It's just that we have not aggregated them. We have not brought in experts to help them to upscale the quality and bring in safety and every other thing. So we are already, see, because when you say this research you're talking about now, I know how it's going to end. I know how it's going to end. What they will do now is when they start up their institute now, they will get one person with some political, some political affiliation as compensation for loss somewhere. Perhaps the contestant didn't win. And he's angry, he's going to pull out with his members. They will now compensate him with that. He will now go there and not know what to do.
So what you're saying is this is a problem of personalities and not a systemic problem.
It's both. It's both because, you see, the president that is talking must put up maybe a 7-man committee to do the groundworking, to give us a template, a roadmap. Because this president likes to talk abstract. He's impulsive. He doesn't know what he's doing. Because if he knows what he's doing, the moment you are making this, you get back to the executive, get me experts from the universities, professors in this field, in agriculture, in petrochemical, in those critical areas. If we get those professors for me, let them come with their team. We want to have a research into how we can increase seedlings, how we can go back to manufacturing. Okay, bring a professor of energy and electricity, put them together, let them come out with the blueprint. Then when they come out with the blueprint, ensure that you get someone who will lead the team and ensure that this is implemented. It is not difficult, not difficult as we think, and this will be implemented.
A doctor from the University of Illinois won a $77,000 grant for a research. Do you think this would in any way be of importance to you?
Yes, you see, the grant will be a benefit to us, whichever way it is. Grants are actually targeted at public spiritedness, on areas where you have developed capacity that will benefit the public. That's what grant is done. That's why you have grants. And that's not the only grant. There are a lot of institutions in the world where people have donated immensely funds. Okay, the Rockefeller Foundation, you have a lot of foundations, MacArthur Foundation, they have so many of them. They are looking for persons and institutions that have distinguished themselves, that are giving to humanity. Okay, on climate change, on environmental pollution, on you understand? So these grants are all over the world. It's going to benefit us, but what we need to do is to make sure that we're serious with what we're doing. The agenda is public driven. The agenda must be public driven. The best hands must come together to find solution to the problem. In these critical areas, you see, the Scandinavians are very good in research. And that is why you can never compare their citizens with the citizens here. You can never compare their minimum wage over there with minimum wage here. Anywhere you don't have research, and technology, people will be in poverty. And they'll be in poverty for a long time, because research it is through research that you break forth new grounds. In fact, we are living today because people undertook researches in different areas. Okay, in different areas of the human endeavor. People did research on how best, okay, from fashion to food to technology to everything. People laid foundation. The aircraft you fly today is a product of research. Okay, the houses you live today, they are all products of research. The instrument we are using here, from the microphone to the computers to everything, is a product of research. Okay? Now, if you must advance your country, because if I ask you now, all the equipment we find here now, which one is indigenous to Nigeria? Apart from sand, the one that we pack to mud block. Okay? Which one is indigenous to us? So, if these things we have here are indigenous to other countries, until today, these equipment they are still bringing royalties, profit to those companies. So we need to come up with that, which is there are a lot of there are a lot of things that are indigenous to us now. I mean, do you know when iron was discovered in the North culture in Nigeria, in Jos? As far back as 13 something, the North culture in Jos. You talk about iron ore, you talk about bitumen, you talk about solid minerals. When these things were discovered in Nigeria, far back, Some of the things that were discovered were first discovered in this country before they were discovered in the West.
Now, talking about indigenous discovery, how vital do you think these institutions are in creating indigenous research that is peculiar to our country?
The institutions cannot undertake research because the lecturers are being owed year in, year out. Their salaries are not even paid in the first place. That is how low we have dragged education to. Sometimes I imagine, is it the same education that Aristotle defined as the ornament of prosperity and refuge in adversity that we're talking about here, we're discussing here? Or is it the same education that Socrates talked about or that we're discussing here? See, because the universities are supposed to be confronting the government for grants for research. Okay? Unilag have been doing research in some areas, botany, microbiological researches, in their institutes. But that's because you have a lecturer that is passionate about research. Most times the lecturers themselves are overwhelmed. So what they do is to take solace in the theory, already established research. They will go to Charles Darwin's work on biology, read and regurgitate to the students, and the students will take it on like that. So what they're doing, we're not moving forward. And that is why if you look at the courses we study in our universities, from the 80s to date, the courses have not really expanded. You don't really have new courses as much, except maybe for some schools that are very sensitive to world trend. Okay, but if you go to a university in the West, you will find out that once a discovery is done in a particular area, a course of study springs out from there immediately. And from there you have expansion. So we must, as a matter of necessity, empower our universities, create research institutes in our universities, and mandate the lecturers with grants to go do research and come up with solutions to the problem of the country. You cannot have professors all over the place, and you have problems in the same country, and you are crying and you are shouting, and we have professors who can solve some of the problems we have in Nigeria, who have helped, yes.
Now, if you part the quality of our professors here with those outside of the country, do you think they are in sympathetic?
If we want to compare, I would say our professors are better. If we ever compare, yes, you know why? Because our professors, they teach over there now. They teach over there in the West. Many of them teach there, from Professor Sundari to the best professor of aerodynamics, aeronautic engineering. He's a Nigerian. I have met him one-on-one. Okay, that we sit down a full aircraft. He will dismantle a full aircraft to the ground, like make it a mat and couple it back, repair it. You understand? We have them. Okay, but you know why they cannot lecture here and they cannot stay here? They cannot stay here because, first, the future of their children is not guaranteed. Their own future is not guaranteed. ASU will go on strike. Federal government will deceive them. We're telling them that we'll pay, they will not pay. Akpabio will come out and start to talk anyhow. So when you have that kind of country, you will not be able to have the best hands. You will not be able to have best hands. They don't treat them like that in the West. They may not be paying them so heavy, but they treat them with dignity. They treat them with dignity. That is why they're able to undertake research. You will see a white man, a professor of botany, for example, or of zoology, who will be following maybe millipede. I've been writing about it for 7 years, studying millipede. When you watch, the DSTV, there's a channel about animals and all that. You see all these things. These are universities sponsoring research. They have their own media team. They have their own research. They go out there to the bush. Learning is not about sitting down, somebody dictating notes and you're copying. That's not learning. That's not learning. That's a waste of time.
The southeast of Nigeria has been known to be a technologically driven region from the 60s and all until now.
It is lack of incentive and support to indigenous craftsmanship. That's ethnic misalignment. We don't pay attention and give people exactly what will make them grow the country. If you go to Obosi, for example, generator is produced in Obosi. Generator. Yeah, they make spanners, all these parts, what do you call it, motorcycle parts and tricycle parts, motor parts. They make them there. They formulate them there. You understand? When you come to Aba, they have factories. You know, they manufacture shoes and all that. Most of the African countries, they come to, buy here and they take to, we feed African countries a lot of those materials, okay? We have the what do you call it, the wildlife, where you can get skin, animal skin from another. You have the wildlife. We have virtually all it takes. But what we don't have is leadership. What we don't have is leadership. We have thoughtless people in governance. So governance is about thinking, policy, strategy, systems, method. It's not it's my turn. And it's not, you have to know exactly what you're doing to be able to grow an economy. Now, the South is not just that they have capacity to industrialize and all that. They also have a business model that have been taken away now from here to Harvard. Apprenticeship business model. Our universities are in slumber. They came from Harvard. They said it is the surest business model in the world. You take a one boy at the age of 6, 7. The one boy starts to learn the trade under his master. He learns that trade for 5 years. After 5 years, he's pulled out from that particular shop to another shop to manage. He's pulled out from the one he's cooperating with other people. They pull him out from there to one shop where he's the only one there to exercise his, more like an NYC, to exercise his own initiative on that shop. By the time he prospers in that shop, which still belongs to his Oga, the Oga now pulls him out from there, settle him, open a shop for him in his own name. Then his 2-3 years, he goes back to the village. He gets some Omo boys. You understand? Then he brings them to that shop and they start to learn it. And you see, when you trade apprenticeship, the whole village, nobody can be poor because the model is stronger than poverty. Yes, the apprenticeship model is stronger than the weight of what poverty has to offer. So that kind of training today is even better than the conventional school that you take the child to go and learn theory, to copy notes. Copy note for 6 years. Then he gets to university, secondary school, he continues to copy note. To university, still copy note. When he comes out, he will not wear long sleeve and button his neck and say he does not have job. So because the system is training him to serve, not to be his own master. But the other apprenticeship, it trains you to be your own master, but you start with service. But this one only trains you to just serve. So it's a different. So why can't the federal government take that apprenticeship model into our own university, and make it our own indigenous strategy for wealth creation? They have taken it. In the next 30 years, that school will tell you that they're the pioneers of that apprenticeship model that they took from here. Even the way we writing started from Egypt. If you read the Egyptian hieroglyphics, it will give you the history of codification and writing, hieroglyphics. How Pythagoras stayed in Egypt for 14 years studying mathematics. Egypt, today you have Pythagorean theory. You have algebra. You have, all these guys are from Athens. The Africa where they study from, we don't have any mathematical formula that is indigenous to Africa. That's what I'm saying. But they are all gotten from here. So it's a paradox of some sort. So what Tinubu is trying to do or say is that we want to open the research space. Is a good way to go. Okay, but the strategy and the method, you must get it right. You must get it right in the sense that you must first of all identify talents. We already have a breeding ground, our universities. Identify them, get them, put them together. Let them identify the most critical areas. Those areas, we invest in those areas. Then from there, we expand. That's how to do it. People should stop making nonsense in this country.
Exactly. And on a lighter mood, I would love to say, do you think Nigerian youth should stop watching Big Brother? And maybe people in authority should start creating reality TV shows that is positioned towards research and technology.
That is exactly what it is. Big Brother is not, there's no research in it. They call it social experiment. But the social experiment is targeted to immorality. Is it that they're having sex in the night, or somebody is quarreling with another person, or they call it vibes. And vibes, the people are voting. And if you see the take home, the prize for frivolities is so high, but that is why I think this country, the youth are not busy enough with things that will develop them. That is why a lot of people watch Big Brother. If you have multiple shows, year in, year out, one on agriculture, one on science and technology, other on entrepreneurship, and the take home is high. Even if a company starts it and the company say the winner will take 10 million, government should come and add another 10 million. You understand? To make it, people driven. We should have a reality TV show for filmmakers. Okay, for entrepreneurs, for agriculturists, for horticulturists, for technology, for oceanographers. We should have all those things. We have the resources. Look at our waterways. Our waterways are wasted. No, and we have the Institute of Oceanography and Research Oceanography. But our waterways, we have one of the best waterways in Africa. Okay, our space, in fact, from Lagos, you can get to Bayelsa, you can get to Port Harcourt. From Lagos, you can get to Dubai Sea. You can go around the country. We are not exploiting, there's no research on that. And we are not maximizing it. Okay, so this country will do well the day the leaders start to think.
Thank you so very much.
Because we stopped thinking a long time ago.
Exactly.
Yes.
Very apt. So thank you so very much, Dr. Feli, for being part of my show.
It's my pleasure.
Really good, insightful discussion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.